Hi there, my name is Ron Rogers, and this presentation is titled Deadly Mismanagement of the Boeing 727 Electrical Panel. United Airlines Flight 266, January 18th, 1969. Now, a very important safety enhancement came out of this accident, and one that we are all aware of today, and you may or may not know that this is what produced this enhancement, and it didn't exist before this time. Now, it's a little unfair to blame the second officer's mismanagement totally of the electrical panel. The electrical panel on the 727 was one of the most vexing systems for the flight engineer to operate. And he had a couple things going against him. A couple of aircraft design issues and also maintenance issues. And the captain probably took a situation that it'd been better if he had not accepted a deferred item. Now, back when I was in high school, 1967, I won first place in the state on a particle accelerator I built. I was going to become a nuclear physicist. And I had built a particle accelerator, and I won a all-expense-paid trip out to San Francisco to the International Science Fair. So I'm getting on board the 727 with my little trusty black and white camera, shooting Tri-X, if anybody remembers that, because I used to develop it myself and do the prints. That's why this isn't the best picture you've ever seen in your life. But you see that blue arrow? That's pointing to a space there. And at the time, this aircraft didn't have something that resulted from this accident. Like I said, this accident happened in 69. I flew on this aircraft in 67, and in 69, there was no standby attitude indicator. Okay, now here's a more modern 727 aspect. I know you new guys probably go, oh, this is old as can be, steam gauges, you dinosaurs and stuff like that. But this is the more modern cockpit here. And I'm going to give you a close-up here of that center panel there. And you see that yellow arrow? Okay, that's a standby attitude indicator. If everything goes to crap in the airplane, you lose all electrical power, you still got that. Now, when this first started out, bringing this on, it had its own dedicated battery, and that's been kind of glossed over a little bit later. But the electrical systems now are much better. They work much better. They're much more reliable. And, for the most part, they're supposed to be much more reliable. All right, so here I am many years later, captain on the 777. I'm coming back from Hong Kong, and you notice on the left there, that's the standby instruments. Those are the instruments that you're supposed to have no matter what. Those don't fail, man. If everything just goes dark in the cockpit, you've got the standby instruments. Well, I've got the other instruments, fortunately, but I don't have the standby, which is kind of interesting. So I took a picture of it. Now, I have the yellow arrows to show you that, okay, I've got the attitude indicator. That's very nice. It's up there at the top. But below it, I'm supposed to have speed, and that's how it looks on the right. And I'm supposed to have an altimeter. So here, the system that's never supposed to fail has failed for me. Well, that gives you a lot of confidence, doesn't it? So let's talk about this accident. And I'm playing with AI here. I told it to give me a picture of a 727 departing out of Los Angeles, and of course it did well on this AI generated image here. Of course, if I put weather in it, it kind of defeats the whole purpose because you can't see anything. But okay, and when they took off, they had they were IFR. It wasn't really hard IFR, but they were IFR because there were some witnesses who reported seeing the airplane going in. But okay, they're taking. Oh, by the way, this wasn't the paint scheme back then for United Airlines. You guys all know that. It couldn't bring me the old paint scheme. But I thought it was kind of a nice picture. But anyway, okay, they're taking off. United Flight 266, January 18th, 1969. They're taking off out of L.A., Los Angeles Airport there, and they're going to Denver, and then the final destination is Milwaukee. Well, they crashed into Santa Monica Bay, 11 and a half miles offshore, killing all 38 people on board. Fortunately, it had a fairly light load. Now, this aircraft was an almost new 727. It had been delivered only 4 months earlier. It had 1,100 hours on it. The crew, the captain and the co-pilot were fairly experienced. The second officer was fairly low time at 634 hours. That means he may have been flying for possibly a couple years on the airplane. I don't actually have those details to know for sure. But they had a little issue here, and they crashed 2 minutes after takeoff. They departed with the number 3 generator in op. Okay, that's the third row, the number 3 generator in op there. Now, they'd had some issues with this, and you can have a problem with the generator, you can have a problem with the control panel. And the control panels, back then at least, had a history of being a little problematic. And they had replaced this control panel and switched them out. They switched out the generator. They later found that the generator didn't have any problems. It was working fine, so it probably could have been the control panel here. But, okay, we're 2 generator operation. That's not a great thing to be. And this had been carried... They kept trying to fix it. This had been carried for a couple of months with this issue on this number 3 generator working and then not working. So that's not good. This is one of these things of maintenance failing to correct the situation. So they take off and they get an engine fire indication on number 1 engine. Okay. Well, they later found out when they brought up the wreckage. I mean, this thing really hit at a steep angle. When they brought up the wreckage, they didn't find any indications on the fire on the number 1 engine. So it could have been a duct overheat hitting the sensor. It could have been a false sensor, whatever. But the captain did the proper thing, and he shuts down the number 1 engine. Well, okay. Number 3 generator is gone. Number 1 generator is gone. You are now in a single generator operation. Now, these guys have been 2 generator operation, and okay, you guys who know the 727, you turn one pack off because the pack fans that run when the flaps are down, they take 10 kilowatts of power, and that's a pretty big load. So you're reducing that and a few other things that you may do. But they found that, okay, you go to single generator operation, and if you're configured for 2 generator operation, you're supposed to be below the load limits, so you should be all right. But they found that in some cases, the going to that single generator operation could cause the generator to fail. So what probably happened here is they lost all generators. Okay, well, in the process of powering down the system even more, you see the red arrow, that's the battery switch. It has a guarded cover on it. Back then it did not. And next to it, in this case they're below, in the configuration of this was what's known as a QC, a quick change 727 that had a big door that they could load cargo on it. So it's slightly configured. The galley power switch and the battery switch are right together, and the battery switch at the time did not have a guarded position. And you notice a little bit lower there down the chain, there is the essential power switch, and there's that little red light. Now let's look at the electrical system. Okay, being an electrical engineer, I just love charts like this, but the problem is and they speculate, and this was emphasized to us in training when I was a second officer, that the cause of this accident most likely was the fact that he turned the battery switch off. And when you turn that battery switch off, you cause a world of hurt. That's why it's now guarded. He was probably reaching for galley, but he inadvertently shut the battery switch off. So that would have killed the captain's instruments. However, what most likely happened first in this situation was that the captain would have lost central power, his flight instruments, when they shut down the number 1 engine. Now, the sequence on essential power is you leave it on number 3. Okay, well, number 3 is dead, so you go to number 1. So it'd been on number 1. So when the engine is shut down, he'd lost essential power. So the second officer would then switch it to number 2 on that generator to get essential power and power the captain's flight instruments and radios and stuff like that. Well, if number 2 generator failed to overload, you'd lose essential power again. So now what he's got to do is he's got to follow the procedure, and he goes to standby power. Well, you rotate the switch all the way to the left, and there's a little detent there. Well, if you just rotate to the detent, you're in the APU position, which in the air is a dead position, so there's no power for any of the instruments there. And they think he may have stopped there. But what you need to do is you need to press the switch in and rotate it down to the standby power position, and of course check the battery switch on. I don't know if that was in the procedure at the time, but it certainly became important to this, because in the whole process of trying to reduce the load, hitting the battery switch off would, as I mentioned, really put you into a world of hurt. Now, this airplane hit at a very high angle, and the cockpit voice recorder, the co-pilot is trying to talk the captain through recovering, and he's apparently trying to recover on a attitude indicator that is spooling down and giving incorrect information, because they ended up in a very bad situation. But the co-pilot was, talking him through like, you've almost made it sort of thing. But he didn't, and they impacted at a very high rate of speed. And there was just body parts recovered. There was no complete bodies. I mean, the airplane was pulverized. They get a lot of parts they did not recover. They recovered just a bit of the generator control panel, not enough to really even do much investigation with. Now, being a second officer, you just love the on this new checklist. It's called it's not called I-8. Well, maybe it is 7-8 there. But anyway, we called this I hate I-8, because when I was a second officer or captain on it, before they went to the smaller checklist, this was a checklist flow procedure that if you got on the wrong branch, and I saw this in simulator training where guys got going down the wrong branch here, and you were pretty screwed. In fact, I joked that there should be a checklist called loss of position in the checklist, because you could get lost in this checklist and you could have a lot of problems. And it, you see this part here? Well, it even goes on to loss of all generators. You've got other parts here. Okay, so anyway, the checklists are complicated. They can be confusing, and it's one of the things as a second officer that you just hate to deal with. And interesting, back in this time, they had 3 incidents back in '69 of loss of all generators. 3 times that you got the 9-light trip, which is the dreaded all lights are on. They lost all generators. Fortunately, in those 3 instances, losing the generators was not in a critical flight situation, from the standpoint that they were VFR, they could see what was going on, and they had plenty of time to correct the situation and get the generators back online. So this was an accident that brought forth the standby attitude indicator, which had not existed before, and of course now is ubiquitous on all aircraft designs. It brought that forward. This is where it came from. And fortunately, we got rid of these complicated systems. I mean, you needed a 3-person crew on this airplane, because a lot of the stuff second officer had to do was very complex, and this was one of the worst situations he had to deal with, any generator issue. So we've got much better automated systems now that just handle these problems. We have much better designed electrical systems, and this sort of problem where you can turn off the battery switch and just wipe out your electrical generation, fortunately, no longer exists. So I hope you found that interesting and informative, a little bit convoluted, which is the way this system is. It's a very convoluted system. But anyway, I hope you found it entertaining, enjoyable, and informative. Thanks for watching.